What are some of your favorite things about being the General Chair for IMS 2014? And maybe can you give us some background information on how you got the position?
Okay, thank you. It's nice to be here. I think probably, what really jumps out is just the fantastic steering committee that I've been part of. And the administrative committee for the MTT Society has worked on, over the years, trying to make it the conferences more consistent year to year. And one of the things they've done is they put into place really kind of like a continuation committee of people that are consistent year to year. So I started with a core team of people that really have been with the conference for a long time. They knew how it went, they knew some of the mechanics that needed to happen in the right way. And then we could come in with our volunteer committee and add our own spin to it. And but the thing that was really nice was people that made all of the logistics, the food and the beverage, the the social programs and all that. They kind of knew what sort of the flow, how it went. Even the finance. There's a financial auditor who we start out with a previous year's budget, and then we have somebody that's on our committee that's the finance chair, but he's got the backup so the consistency. But we've had a lot of fun. We have been running a conference here in Florida called WAMICon, and so that was maybe leading into your next question, because in really I'd say the roots of IMS coming to Tampa go all the way back to 97, 98, where at the University of South Florida we started a new teaching program in wireless and microwave instruction. It led to a Center for Wireless and Microwave Information Systems that had a lot of companies involved, and it really represented a transition from the university's microwave program being more traditional, sort of microwave technology, radar, military applications, into the wireless era and commercial applications and connecting with commercial companies. And so we invited a lot of companies to be involved in an external advisory committee that started having, by our third meeting, we started having sort of a Saturday forum, wireless and microwave technology forum, and it evolved into the IEEE WAMICon conference, which is held in Florida each year. It's a fully sponsored conference by the MTT Society, and it typically bounces around from the east coast of Florida to the west coast. It's been in Clearwater a lot, and Clearwater, Cocoa Beach. We'll be in Cocoa Beach after this conference. So the WAMICon core team, which is really a mix of university and industry people, not only from Florida, really from around the country, they formed the basic starting point, in addition to the other continuity team I mentioned, to the steering committee for IMS. And then we added other people we knew. But it's been really fun. I like to call the WAMICon organizing committee sort of a loose collection of friends. We have a lot of fun organizing the conference, and we've kept a real upbeat, can-do type of approach to the whole thing. So when we won the bid in San Francisco, I think it was about 7 years ago, my first thought was, yay, great, awesome, and then it was like, oh no, what's it going to be like? And then I started talking to past chairs, and they told me that it was an incredible amount of work, and I should plan to, basically try to have a half-time job and things like that. But it's been a lot of work, but I think that the way that the AgCom has kind of set up this continuity team has made it very much more doable. So that's what I've enjoyed. It hasn't been, it's been much more enjoyable, and while it's been a lot of work, it's been manageable.
So when the announcement was made that you were going to be the general chair, what was one of the initial ideas that you had for this symposium? Like, what did you want to do right away?
Well, if I kind of stay with the sort of WAMICon sort of flow, one of the things we did with the WAMI program and WAMICon is we really had a very strong student component, and our whole goal when we started having those meetings was to bring universities, industry, and government labs and so on together in kind of a networking way. So we've had a very strong networking, and we've had really sort of that from student to seasoned manager and experienced researcher engagement. And So that was the first thought, is bringing that sort of, I like to call it a little bit of whammy magic into IMS. And so, and I think we've done that, you know, so if you look at, well, some of the new programs.
With the STEM program, was that one of your first thoughts, let's bring STEM in?
So STEM wasn't my first thought, but I've been to many IMS conferences starting in 1988 and every one since. And when we started our company in 2001 as a spin-out from the university, we started exhibiting at IMS, so been an exhibitor since. But personally, I have 5 kids, and so 2 of my teenagers have been, well, for one of them, this is their 3rd conference, and the other one, it's their 2nd one. And they help out in the booth, scan badges, and—
How old are they?
16 and 17.
Oh, that's great.
So what I saw is, among my own kids, when they first went to IMS, you know, I have trouble getting my daughter to go for a bike ride with me, but she'll come to IMS. She found it exciting and, you know, interesting, and she really liked the just you know, the multi-dimensional aspect of the, you know, the people interactions, the technology, the things going on. I don't think she's suffered, or I don't think she's sat through a full technical session yet. But anyways, my kids have gotten more interested in pursuing engineering and science careers because of IMS, and so that really was what gave me the idea to push for STEM. And I don't know if it was just my idea, but it was certainly one of the things that got me behind the idea of doing STEM. So there was a STEM, an attempt to do a STEM program in 2010, and J.K. McKinney had a program there, and from the, so he's on my committee as an advisor. So the first thing, he gave us a lot of good advice, and one is don't underestimate how hard it will be to actually get the teachers excited and get the students here. Don't underestimate that.
Yeah.
And that helped a lot, and it was difficult because it's actually final exam week in this county, and we've had to reach out to other counties, we've had to reach out to homeschool groups and things like that. I think we've got a good, strong group of students coming, and we're excited about that. So STEM is one program where we're bringing students from even as young as 10 and 11, that'll be in the half-day program. You have to be 13 to be on the trade show floor. So we have a morning program. It's going to start, and they're going to have a scavenger hunt. And we've got sponsorship. We've got 3 universities coming, 4 or 5 companies, panel sessions with speakers, hands-on activities, and so on. So they have a full day where they're going to get exposed to what we do, but really also a broader brush of science and technology careers.
Now, do you think the STEM program will go over into next year's symposium?
Absolutely.
That's great.
Yeah, absolutely. So the person that we recruited to be the Master of Ceremonies is going to run the STEM program next year, and the person that that agreed to be the chairman of the STEM program this year, he is on the AdCom, and when he found out about it, he said, this is perfect because I've been trying to figure out how we do a multi-year STEM initiative at the society level, and this is perfect that you guys are really starting this. And yeah, there's a very strong interest in continuing it on year to year. That's
great. And then with your daughter, is she thinking about pursuing a career in engineering, or do you think this is something where she's just having fun and learning and, you know?
Now, both my son and daughter are interested in engineering and science in general. You know, my son, if you asked him today, he would say maybe biomedical engineering, but you know, they're open right now. They're both, you know, very good students. So.
And that's one of the other things that I wanted to talk to you about this year. We had Vida Ildrum as one of the keynote speakers.
Yes.
And you don't see that too often at shows where they have a lot of female speakers. So I was just wondering, what were some of the characteristics that she had that made you guys consider her as this year's keynote speaker? And what is your general idea with female engineers in the industry? Like, you know, how can we pull, because there is a lack of females, you know, around the industry. It's a very heavily male populated industry, and I think programs like STEM are good because they can bring more, not just younger generations of engineers, but, you know, a female and male. And I think those programs are a great benefit for that. So I was just wondering what your opinion was on that.
Well, you know, obviously she's a very well-placed person, independent of gender. She really represents the type of position that we'd like to have as a keynote speaker, but also her topic was very consistent with an important trend. And we'd heard good things and so on about her speaking abilities, but the idea of we didn't specifically go after a female speaker, but it was great that it turned out that she was. And, so, but just to if I could, so my own Ph.D. advisor is Linda Katehi, who is chancellor at UC Davis. So she is actually going to be a keynote at the ARFTG conference. So, so I was basically mentored by a female engineer, very competent, female engineer. So I was very, very open to all of that. I mean, I'm very pro on it, and so I have a number of friends in the industry, and I admire, people like Sherry Hess and Zoe Popovich and so on, with the Rhonda Franklin from Minnesota. Rashonda is heading up our student volunteer program, doing just a phenomenal job. So, so yeah, no, I think that my impression is that that just the female perspective brings a certain freshness and just a different perspective on things, and I'm very pro on that. Really like to see more females get involved with AdCom, and in fact, I heard Rashonda is going to be an AdCom secretary next year, so that's great.
Okay. And then you mentioned that one of the trends that she spoke about was very important to this year's symposium. What are some of the other trends that you see occurring surrounding this year's event?
Well, I think one of the things that sort of drives a lot of the industry is semiconductor aspect. So obviously, when I'm talking to a layperson and they ask what I do, well, for my company, we measure and model all types of microwave components, and for a lot of the components, they start out on a wafer, and that wafer can be silicon, which is really where so I'll always say, well, computer chips are silicon chips, right? And they make them on a wafer and they dice them up and they get thousands of them, and so in our industry, we've seen a lot of evolution from different types of technologies, because in the old days when I entered the industry, silicon performance at microwave frequencies really was not competitive with gallium arsenide. So gallium arsenide was really on the way up when I entered the industry, and monolithic microwave integrated circuit technology, that's really was the area that I focused on when I first went into the field back in the late 80s, mid to late 80s. And so, so what we've seen over time is that the performance, there's been a lot of investment in silicon, because the cost of processing silicon is cheaper. They can make it on bigger wafers, and for volume when it comes to wireless commercial applications. So what we've seen is that the performance of silicon has just kind of gone up and up and up. And in the meantime, so relative to gallium arsenide, we've seen this repositioning, and in volume applications, silicon's dominant, and you see that a lot. The other area that has been really hot is gallium nitride technology, and that comes into play in power amplifiers, which is really important in just a wide range of applications. So, so as far as kind of shakeout in the semiconductor, that's kind of happening, and we see these technologies and the companies that are invested heavily in these. I would say GaN continues to be hot. Gallium arsenide is being kind of repositioned into where it does best, and silicon is still on the rise. CMOS and BiCMOS and things like this. Another thing that we see is there's a lot of push to miniaturize everything.
Absolutely.
Portable electronics and efficiency and battery power and things like that. So, so from a component point of view, there's a big push for modules that are made with what are called hybrid or PCB-based designs. They're using multi-layer boards with very miniature components, and we see this at our company. We're being asked to model extremely small components that are mounted on extremely thin boards, that could have, you know, variable ground layers and heavy integration. So there's a big, you know, push that way. So.
Yeah, it was amazing. I was walking the trade show floor and some of the products that are itty bitty, I'm just like, how do they even put those together? Like, they're so intricate, and I feel like I'm getting older and more blind because I can barely see them sometimes, but it's amazing with what they're doing.
It's interesting you say that. So that reminds me of, you know, in the old days, microwave technologies, they used to kind of jokingly call them plumbers, because in the very old days there was waveguide that you put together and they really looked like pipes and tubes and so on. But these days, the people who are assembling, they're more like jewelers. Everything's done under a microscope, everything's really small, and it's a real finesse.
It seems to be a very tedious position, but everyone that I've spoke to on the floor, they love what they do and they're really excited about all the things that are coming up with, and it's cool to see. It's really...
But one other trend I can comment on is the computer-aided engineering field, or electronic design automation field. You know, I think that these days the current generation, the new generation of engineers is coming up. They're being taught about doing simulation-based design as a philosophy in school, and they're coming out and they're expecting to do that. There's another generation that, say if we say 2 generations ahead of them, they just learned how to make things work in the lab, and so there are folks who really don't need to do any computer simulation. They know how to build things, they know how to make it work, right? But I think what we're seeing is people are expecting to be able to simulate what they're going to build before they build it and have it work the way they simulate it. So what that is supporting is a lot of companies being able to provide better and better products in the areas of circuit simulation and electromagnetic analysis simulation. We're seeing people bringing in thermal analysis, and again, in the area of my company, we're providing some of the basic models and model libraries that help support the accuracy of those simulations. But people want to simulate the whole three-dimensional packaged product, you know, thermal, electrical, and so on. And there's still a lot to be done to make that easy and seamless and really work. But there's a lot of attention. You see new companies. I was just talking to a new electromagnetic analysis company, first-time exhibitor here. So, yeah, we're really happy to see, you know, a lot of new companies continue to exhibit at IMS.
Great. Well, for my final question, from an industry perspective, what are some of the things that keep you up at night? With a small company, it's just really hard to see where things are going. I guess some of the consolidation and so on, and what that means for us. Some of our important companies, some of our important customers are merging and or splitting and selling things off and so on. And just the shift in where things are done, and you know, just some uncertainty there. But I don't spend a lot of sleepless nights, to tell you the truth. I'm pretty optimistic about this, you know, where things are going, and as far as you know, as far as the MTT and this show goes and so on. Because of our great committee, I really didn't have very many sleepless nights, and you know, it's great to be working with a team that has your back and just says, you know, absolutely,
yeah. Because I kept asking them, what do I need to worry about? What are our challenges? What are the things that we need? You know, where are the squeaky wheels we need to, you know, grease? I mean, what's going to be? Because I really want to do that. We did, you know, again back to the conference, we did choose to shine a light on a few areas that we observed. We wanted to make the opening reception and to be more of a ceremony, a kickoff celebration. And I think everything I've heard, we accomplished that. We really wanted to make badge cash work, and I don't really know how that's going, but we really tried to put a lot of attention, have a lot of food stations, and allow people to have good food. And we wanted to have a very hospitable guest program, guest suite, and things like that. So we put some attention on that. We got some sponsorship for that, as well as the bus loop and things like that. So those were some of the areas that you know, we wanted to definitely do better. And the rest of it, there's so many things that could go wrong. It's really hard to plan for all of them.
Right.
But I guess I relied a lot on the team to try to just continually think about what could we, what kind of problems we could head off before they happened. from an industry point of view, you know, I think our industry is changing, and
absolutely.
But there's, you know, I still think the future is bright, you know, and I think we see a push. I mean, the millimeter waves has always been the next big thing, but we're seeing, you know, companies like Anoki Wave coming in and making a big splash, and we have some things going on with them. And you know, it's kind of really cool to be working in the 60 to 90 gigahertz band and doing measurements and modeling up there. And I think if that continues to take off and so on, we'll have plenty to do.
What are some of the things you hope will happen for next year? Like what would you like to see for next year's event?
IMS? Well, I really wish Vijay and his team a lot of luck. I think it's going to be really hard to have a ski show in the desert, but you know, it could be done.
They could do like sand surfing or something.
Yeah, we were joking about jumping over cactus, but no, I think he's got a great team, and I think he's going to have the continuity team that I had, and it's been there before. I'm sure it's going to be a great show. Yeah, just wish him luck.
We've enjoyed it from wireless design and development. This is my second year here, and it's a great show, and we absolutely love coming here and covering it for you. So, I mean, and from my observation, watching everyone walk the trade show floor, they're enjoying themselves. So, I think you guys are doing a really good job.
Thank you.
So, well, thank you, Larry, for joining us. We appreciate your time.
Welcome. Thank you.
Thank you all for viewing WDD's Hot Seat. This was a special edition at IMS. We thank you and see you next time.